It was 2 weeks ago tomorrow that a tornado touched down at the Rim. The shopping center, 1604 and I-10, had extensive damage to an apartment complex on UTSA Boulevard. Then it jumped across, did some damage at the Palladium Theater. Some trees were uprooted. We're so grateful to report there were no casualties, no fatalities. But here's what's interesting. We find out today that there were 3 confirmed tornadoes. And let's take a look at the video of the first one. This from the surveillance camera, Filters for Air, coincidentally enough, and their security camera out back capturing the first tornado that touched down that morning. It was at 5:20 in the morning that this tornado touched down. So let me show you some of the numbers of what we found out from the National Weather Service on, again, 3 twisters. That first one had peak winds of 65 miles an hour, classified as an EF0. It was on the ground for about a quarter of a mile, and the width was about 30 yards or so. That's what that should say, that bottom one. All right, let me show you number 2. That was that first tornado, and that was Dignity Hill. That's just northeast of downtown. Tornado number 2 is the one at the Rim, 744 to 752, 100-mile-per-hour winds, EF1. That was almost 4 miles on the ground, 200 yards in width. And then the number 3 was later in the afternoon at about 4:25 at China Grove. Peak winds there, just like the first one, EF0 at 65 miles per hour, and the length under a quarter of a mile. In fact, only a tenth of a mile practically, with a width of 30 yards. Again, thank you to the great work, meteorologist Jason Runyon and the team at the National Weather Service in New Braunfels. But I'll tell you, 3 tornadoes 2 weeks ago tomorrow. That is amazing. All right, let's take a look at outside tonight. Here on the hill, we've got a nice southeast breeze off the Gulf, keeping that dew point at 73. That is really high. This is tropical air. It still feels like 92 out there, even though the thermometer reads 85. Today's numbers from the San Antonio International Airport, 97, so right about where we should be. The 1951 record stays to live another year at 103. Now, our 97 compares to 98 Seguin, 98 Gonzales, pair of 9s at Floresville, Pleasanton, 100 plus at Pearsall, Cotulla hit 104 with Carrizo Springs. We still haven't hit 100. Haven't done it yet. And it'll get close tomorrow in Gonzales. Our Pick City forecast tonight. Come and take this forecast. 97 and sunny for Wednesday. Heat index tomorrow there is going to be 106. So remember, when you get east of the city, the heat index can be 9 to 10 degrees above the actual air temperature because there's just always more humidity east of I-35 for sure. Now, water vapor is going to show you that things are still very dry in the mid and upper levels of this atmosphere, and it's mainly because of high pressure being well in control. So at the surface, we're still going to get some low clouds early tomorrow, but they won't be rainmakers, and they'll give way to afternoon sunshine and afternoon heat. Could go as high as 98 or 99 tomorrow afternoon, and that's going to be a heat index value of maybe 106 to 107. We might see another heat advisory like we saw today for some communities to our south, but most importantly, know the difference between heat exhaustion, heat stroke, not only for yourself, but your loved ones as well. If you see that people stop sweating, the headache gets really bad, or their heart rate picks up, they're running a body fever of like 103, that's heat stroke. That's when it's time to call 911. High pressure might be slipping a bit to the west as we get into the weekend, and that could bring in a chance of rain because here's the deal. This is very dry air, cannot produce any rain when you see the blue. But once we get that high out of the way, it takes that drier air with it, and you can see a little bit of moisture that we could work with on a chance of rain coming up next week. So the 14-day forecast, I've got several weather impact alerts because of the heat. Every afternoon through Sunday, heat indices 104 to 105, rain chance 10 to 20% as we get into next week. So it's not anything we can truly count on, but it's definitely a chance. 96 and 97, so average highs heading into the first full week of August. Project Cool in its 30th year. Drop off a new box fan at any San Antonio fire station. Nate working out with Ron Nierenberg next.